The smart Baton Rouge business traveler travels out of Baton Rouge. Why? It's about not having to wake up hours earlier, fight traffic, and stand in long lines. It's also about BTR being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere your business takes you. Smart. So for your business, if it's about being one step ahead and not dead on your feet, then it's about time you flew BTR. Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
Yeah, that's right. How y'all doing? I'm Morgan Beard alongside the one they call Aaron Lee, holding it down for you guys here on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
That's right, Morgan, and why waste time? Let's get right to it. Let's hit the diamond and see how the softball team did this past weekend. Number 2 Arkansas Pine Bluff facing Southern in the first game of the weekend series, and the Jaguars would get on the board early when Jamani Greer flies out, and the Jaguars will go up 1, get on the board first as they score.
You're going to see Jamani Greer a little bit later,
yes,
too.
You
Keep
are.
that in mind, everybody.
Pine Bluff in the bottom of the third would drive in some runs, and the Golden Lions would add 2 more and go up 3-1 in this one. The Jags would put back a couple runs and down 3-2 and flies out with their last chance, and they fall in this one, Morgan, 3-2. Now let's look at the first game doubleheader that happened on Saturday. Guess what? The Jaguars came back in this one with an 8-7 win by a walk-off single by Jamani Greer in the first doubleheader. And you got to hear how the celebration was after this.
Our game plan's never quit. That's our game plan, and that's what you saw right there. That was very exciting for our fans, very exciting for our players, and it just shows the grit that they have and the determination, and we hope to have that kind of effort every time we play.
Well, my mindset was to just put it in play, base hit, so I could score the runs. That was it.
Hey, it is what matters and what counts, and they did it, 8-7. Now, to the Bluff we go for game 2 of the doubleheader between Southern and Pine Bluff softball. A scary moment, though, Elizabeth Donaldson lining one right off third baseman Kyla Ross. Fortunately, she would eventually be okay, but back to the action. Donaldson, more than okay. She steps to the plate and swings that one out of the park, and that's all she wrote for the home run. Jags up 4-1. And they didn't really need him, but they added it anyway. Some insurance runs from Jamani Greer, the MVP so far of this Inside the Jaguar Nation. She's getting a lot of face time. Southern wins this one 7-4, 2-1 for the weekend series. Here's their coach talking about Lizzie Donaldson.
Lizzie's all around. She does a lot for us, and we're very proud to have her. It's kind of intriguing to watch some of our pitchers do other things well when they're called upon, and we're very proud that they do those.
Started sprinting until everybody was, I heard everybody screaming, and it's one of those moments where you just realize that it's over the fence. But the whole thing, it's just always a great feeling to be on the bases, and it's just so freeing.
I like her. Good soundbite right there, first of all. But if you notice, she's doing it at both sides. A pitcher, batter, doing everything, going yard, striking out people.
Let's talk about leading your team to a win.
Yeah, that's right. A little modern-day Babe Ruth right there. She can do it all.
That's a good reference. I'm going to tell her that next time I see her.
Thank you. Any good rep I need, let her know I made that one up. Now, Aaron, something a little interesting happened at the end of the softball game. Not Lizzie Donaldson. We saw what she did. Something else on the other side for Pine Bluff.
Yeah, Morgan, it wasn't a good look, and we need to touch upon this now. Arkansas Pine Bluff, gritty team, fiery team, but on Saturday, their first doubleheader against Southern, their coach got ejected. Yeah. It wasn't a good look. His attitude toward his players wasn't really good. He argued a lot of calls with the umpire. Very unprofessional. Right here, we're looking at the video. He's being escorted off. He needs to get his bag, so he's begging one of his players to please bring me my bag, and they're trying to move him off the premises so we can move into game 2, and it really wasn't a good look for him.
So kind of held up things there too in between games and everything?
Yeah, I credit the Pine Bluff assistant coaches because they came right in to assist this, but hey, he eventually left. But I had to highlight this because Coach John Garris for the Southern Jaguars, whether they're up or down, he never gets rattled, never disrespects his players, and you got to hear him right here after the game.
Well, I know a lot of the viewers have Google, and they can go Google Jaguar, but you know the Jaguar is the most ferocious of all the animals, and so there's a lot of fight in a Jag. They're the smartest, they're the craftiest, and they're the most ferocious of all the cat family. So we want to be like our mascot.
See, I like him right there, giving us a little science on the Jaguar, but look. Just like the human jukebox, never losing, always winning. And coming up later in the show, Morgan, you know we got to talk football.
Hey, it's never off-season in football, right? A little spring practice, why not?
That's right, Morgan.
And then coming up, though, after that, we're going back to the man of the hour, John Garris. He's soundbite gold, and you're going to hear from him right back on, what do they call it, Aaron?
Jaguar Nation.
You're watching Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm, with Brian Holland, Morgan Beard, Ashley Lyotis, and Aaron Lee.
Welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. Morgan Beard here, Aaron Lee there, as always. And we give you an inside look here on Inside the Jaguar Nation. A little all-access pass to get to know the Southern Jaguars.
Yeah, that's right, Morgan. Now, we just got done praising Coach Garris about his character, but let's hear a little bit more from him. This week's Performer of the Week is head coach John Garris.
You know, tomorrow's a religious holiday, and some people believe that sin is all rooted in selfishness. But when people are unselfish is when their most glorious opportunities come. It can be a team, it can be a family, and when you take your turn, it's my turn to step up, it's my turn to lead, or it's my turn to serve, it's my turn to be in a lesser role. When you take those things and embrace those and take the group, and if it's a team or if it's your own family, and put that first, great things can happen for you. And so we're really pleased with that. You know, you saw different times this weekend that Aubrey James was in the outfield and not a lot of balls were hit there. You could almost forget about who was out there in left field. Then we call on her to pitch and she comes in and just is lights out. And that's an example of what we're talking about. The key hit late in the other game. You just see opportunities present themselves, and what everybody has to do is be unselfish. And when they get their chance, step up. And then when it's your chance to be in a secondary role or be in a servant role, embrace that just as if it was a hero role.
I'm ready to run through a brick wall after hearing that guy talk. But
Motivational speaker, like that should be his second career.
And he's not even like doing it in a fiery way, but it just what he's saying gets you kind of pumped
It's like
up.
the Tony Dungy, you know, Lovey Smith, calm, collectible, doesn't get rattled.
Yeah, but it motivates you anyway. That's good stuff right there. Now, so from John Garris to baseball and Carrick Jackson's squad. Softball team got the 2-1 series win this week. Baseball, Aaron, not so much.
Not so good this weekend. They took 3 losses this weekend in their Dallas trip. Look, it's a rebuilding. Coach Jackson is trying to get these young guys together and just build a team around that. So we wish them well coming up for the rest of their season.
Now, Dallas Baptist, though, actually a respectable program, so nothing really to hang your head about. Just like the human jukebox, never hanging their head.
Never hanging their head, always bringing the sweet sounds. But coming up next, Southern goes Hollywood. Again, guess who's coming to the Bluff this week, Morgan?
Ooh, I don't want to give it away right now. That's called a tease in this biz. But coming right up, though, we're talking some Jaguar football. As we say, a new season comes, a new offense, possibly something you haven't seen on the Bluff in a while. Oh, we'll give you the details when we come right back here on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
That's right. Welcome back to the show. As we do every week, Aaron Lee right here letting us know what's coming up on those calendars and around the campus for the Southern Jaguars. What's going on this week?
That's right, Morgan. Let's get right to it. See, baseball squares off Wednesday, April 4th at Mississippi State at 6:30, and then Friday, April 6th, they're facing Arkansas Pine Bluff at 6 p.m. And again, Saturday, April 7th, doubleheader. Arkansas Pine Bluff again at 2, and then they have another one at 6.
Back to Mississippi State before we continue with the calendar. That's a team, if you're a baseball fan in Baton Rouge, very familiar with. LSU just wrapping up their series, so maybe the Tigers kind of warmed down a little bit. Southern can maybe take advantage.
That's right. Now let's move on to softball. Tuesday, April 3rd versus Nichols at 6 p.m. Then Friday, April 6th, they face Prairie View at 3 p.m. And then Saturday, as always, they got a doubleheader versus Prairie View at 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. Let's move right along to track and field. Saturday, April 7th, they're at McNeese State for the Springtime Classic in Lake Charles. That time is still to be announced. And finally, we wrap up women's tennis, which is Friday, April 6th. They're at Xavier at 3 p.m. Morgan, let's talk some football.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about tennis and softball and everything in between. And let's get to the moneymaker here. Football all year round in Baton Rouge. The Jags start spring practice tomorrow, and head coach Dawson Odoms looking to replace some guys. We talked about it last week. You got the heavy hitters and Danny Johnson and obviously Kentavious
Austin
Preston.
Howard, quarterback, which is very important.
Yeah, the names, and that's just the main ones, so to speak. There's a lot of other ones there. So, of course, they're looking for new leaders on and off the field. And with the new season, new guys, comes a new offense. Coach Odom's looking to maybe add some trickery. The option, a possibility on the Bluff this fall?
I'm really excited. The new wrinkle on offense, we're going to run option. You will see a little option out of the Jags this year. So I really think we got quarterbacks now that are runners, a little better runners than we've had in the past. So we're going to take advantage of that by implementing a little bit of option this offseason. So you'll get a first look at it in the spring. So we're excited about the new wrinkle, and, you know, I really think give us an opportunity to put the ball in some of our quarterback hands, which are going to be some of our better playmakers.
The possibility of an option, that will definitely be a new wrinkle. And Aaron, you spent a lot of time on the Bluff this past season. You saw the offense firsthand. They didn't really do much option with Austin Howard back there. Do you think it would work this year?
That's a good question, Morgan. Hey. Look, with the quarterback position being open and them having 5 quarterbacks competing for that position.
5?
5, yes. 5 quarterbacks competing for that
position. Have fun deciding that one, yeah.
It's going to be a challenge, but these 5 quarterbacks are very athletic, so it possibly could work. So now let's bring in our own Brian Holland to hit the film room to talk about the option offense.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on Inside the Jaguar Nation, guys. Good to be back. I just don't understand these comments. I don't think this is anything that the Jag Nation should take and go. We're definitely running the option here in a few months when they roll out what is supposed to be a pretty new offense, especially when you talk about a new quarterback coming in. I've heard this before from SEC coaches, SWAC coaches, coaches all around the country, where they say, oh, we want to maybe install this or that, and then defensive coordinators around that same conference go scrambling back to their dark rooms and start jotting down notes about how they need to prepare for this, this, and this. If anything, this is, I think, gamesmanship on Coach Odom's part. And to be honest with you, you look at the first couple of games. You look at a game like TCU where maybe they could fall behind there in the second half. At least that's what the experts are going to tell you is what's going to happen in that ball game. You make a comment like this in spring, and then when maybe you're out of that game in the second half, unfortunately, you run a couple plays where, oh, now we have to prepare for something new, and defensive coordinators around the SWAC now have to prepare for that. If anything, I think it's maybe a little gamesmanship, as I said, something like that, to maybe put something else on their plate that they now have to prepare for. I just don't see how you can, before the very first snap of your very first spring practice, come out and go, we're going to run the option. I think it's more of Coach Odom's with a little wink there to the rest of the SWAC conference and saying, we may have a couple extra tricks there in our bag.
Thanks, Brian. Always giving us the truth here on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
Taking a step into his office, shall we?
Look, as they're running the option, there's no option in the human jukebox because they're #1 in the country, baby. And coming up later on the show, we got to get to some basketball. If we talk football, Morgan, we got to talk basketball.
We haven't talked basketball yet. I find that hard to believe, even though I've been doing the show with you. But hey, I'll take your word for it. And coming up next, we take a look at a special bond. A nice story brought to you by Aaron Lee. You got to stick around for this one. We're talking Brianna Green and her special relationship. Next here on Inside the Jaguar Nation.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
Welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. I'm Aaron Lee. He's Morgan Beard. And Morgan, are we friends? Maybe besties, perhaps?
Oh, I get it. That's the most awkward hug on TV.
You don't love
there.
me?
No, I'm not saying just the most awkward hug. Wait till we look back at the footage. But okay, you know we're cool, obviously, buddy. But we're not as cool as this next duo you're about to see. Just take a look.
Brianna Green, Defensive Player of the Year and First Team All-Conference. And a fan of pasta.
I was going to get some pasta for Red Lobster.
She has accomplished several accolades at Southern, including leading the Jaguars to regular season champs and leading them to the SWAC Tournament Championship. However, the Jaguars came up short to Grambling State.
After that game, that was, a pretty tough time for me personally, because I had a goal and set out to win that tournament or win that championship. So you know, us to come up short, you know, it was kind of a little heartbreaking. But, you know, luckily I had Mandy here at the game. So.
Mandy McKenzie, Green's best friend, would be there for her in one of her toughest moments.
When the clock got to like the last 8 minutes, it was hard for me, so I had to like rush all of my tears out because I knew how she felt. I knew like from her facial expressions that it was about to be terrible.
Social media, food, and fan day led to this special bond. But they both have a totally different recollection of how they actually met.
She was a fan of mine, so she tapped me when I was going to fan day, because I truly wasn't going. She walked up to me and was like, "Oh, can I take a picture?" And I was like, "All right, cool," because she was a fan of mine, you know, because, you know, I play basketball, I do what I do. So she became a fan of mine. She was like, "I don't want nobody else to be a best friend."
As for Green, what's next for her? Graduation in May, which McKenzie will be front and center, and in her words, basketball.
We was out and about, a lady asked me, you know, "What you gonna do after basketball?" I said, "Basketball." I truly don't know anything else. So for me right now, that's my mindset going forward, trying to pursue my professional career and, you know, playing basketball and getting into that lifespan.
Thanks a lot, Brianna Green. Look, I love pasta just as much as she loves pasta, but we love the human jukebox as well. And time for another break, but coming up next, Scouts won't be the only members on the bluff this week. We'll tell you who's coming here on more Inside the Jaguar Nation.
Too much, Aaron.
This is Inside the Jaguar Nation, presented by Russell Law Firm.
Welcome back to Inside the Jaguar Nation. I'm Aaron Lee alongside Morgan Beard. And Morgan, let's get a little bit of housekeeping out the way before we close the show out.
Yeah, that's right, Aaron. Big news on the bluff this week for Southern's Pro Day. And of course, we will be there with wall-to-wall coverage, but that's not all.
That's right, Morgan. Lights, camera, action. And again, the NFL Network will be back on the bluff, this time doing a special feature for number one in our hearts, number one on the field, Danny Johnson. It's great to see him getting that beautiful press as he looks forward to the NFL draft. And tell us what else is coming up, Morgan, on the bluff.
Yeah, it seemed like yesterday when basketball season started, right, for the Lady Jags, and it doesn't stop. Head coach Sandy Pugh out there recruiting, and of course the women's summer camp will be June 15th and 16th. The Jags looking to repeat as regular season champs, hoping to finish it off with the SWAC title this time around.
That's right, Morgan. Hopefully they do. Another great show,
Yes,
Morgan
sir.
Beard.
No hugs.
No hugs. No hugs. Join us next week